The stages of listening to Boise State Public Radio podcasts. Step 1, testing the waters. You tune into an episode or two. Nothing too serious. Step 2, you got a little hooked on one of those series like Extremely American or Scandalized, and now you're binging. No judgment, but you did listen to it in one day. Step 3, now you're subscribed to a feed. You get notifications to your phone every time there's a new daily episode of The Connector or Idaho Matters. I see where this is going. Step 4, you realize how much time you're spending with Boise State Public Radio podcasts and the fact that it doesn't cost you a dime. Step 5, you decide to step up and support your podcast listening because you can, because you want to, not because you have to. All right, now's the time, you podcast fan you. Go to boisestatepublicradio.org and click donate to support your love of Boise State Public Radio podcast listening today.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Cadet. This is Idaho Matters. It's been 47 years, almost to the day, since music host and producer Arthur Balinger took to the airwaves on Boise State Public Radio. The year was 1977, and at the time, KBSU was a student-run station on Boise State's campus. Julie Lucetta talked to Arthur about his very first time spinning tunes with us and his long career as a late-night public radio host.
Do you remember the day exactly?
The day was November the 5th. It was a Saturday, and my first show was at 4 a.m. I was a little nervous, but I was also kind of excited and happy to be able to play music that I liked on the radio that people could listen to.
Do you remember your first track?
The first cut I ever played was called Too Rolling Stoned by Robin Trower. It's an up-tempo rocker, and it fit perfectly. It has a long ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum intro, and then it takes off with vocals and lead guitar work. It's very good. And it goes on for about 7 minutes.
What drew you to do this, to want to play music late at night for folks?
Well, I've always been into music since around the 2nd or 3rd grade, when I was immediately a fan of Elvis Presley and had to have my dad buy me 45s of his songs.
Why Elvis?
Well, Elvis was such an earthshaker in terms of musical history. I mean, he was among the first rockers, and he was so famous and, of course, sexy, and all the girls loved him, and it was a phenomenon in American culture. And then I started doing my own imaginary radio show in about the 3rd grade or the 4th grade. And so I did that for many years, and by the time I got to KBSU, I knew a lot of music, and it wasn't something new to me. So the minute I sat down in the chair and learned the knobs, so to speak, the technique, I was like, I like it here, you know.
Do you still like it here?
I love it. I've loved doing my musical shows always.
Tell me what your body feels like when you listen to music that really flows with you.
Oh, it's transporting, it's uplifting, it's inspirational. That's what I try to go for. As I tell my program director, Eric Jones, going for the cosmic plateau tonight, try to achieve the cosmic plateau.
Oh, just the cosmic plateau?
Yeah.
Tell me more about the cosmic plateau. What is it?
Well, for example, say if you've been to a concert and they've been playing all night, and you go outside and you're back on the street and you go, oh, wow, we're back in reality here. You've just been uplifted to cosmic heights of glory, and reality is on the street. So anyway, there's such a difference there after a musical inspiring show,
So that's what you're aiming for?
Yes, inspiration and upliftment, truly.
I'm not here late at night often, but when I am, I'm always so excited to see that little light coming from the studio like a beacon in this dark, dark building. And it's always you plugging away. Tell me what it's like to be the only person in the building late at night next to this river.
That's an interesting question. I hardly ever notice that I'm the only one here. It's just me and the music, and it's very enlivening, so I don't feel alone or anything solitary. So every show, I always want to do my best and play the best music that fits. I'm always moved by the music. I have the volume turned to 11 always. Fortunately, my ears are fine still. I made many friends through the years, fortunately.
You've seen a few technological changes in the way music comes to you. What were you playing when you were first working here?
All we had was LP, vinyls, from one vinyl to the next on turntables, which was fun. It was a little more difficult, queuing up one, ready to go to the next. But you had less technical difficulties because if it skipped, all you had to do was just move the needle and it went away. Skipping on CDs is much more problematical. I don't even want to talk about it. It is a headache, but fortunately that doesn't happen too much. I remember the first CD I played on the air. I was so nervous. Is this going to work? It was on classical. It was Maurice Ravel's String Quartet, which is so beautiful, and I love it. And I was nervous in each movement, or 4 movements. Is it going to make it to the end? It's half an hour long. Is it going to make it to the end without any trouble? And it finally finished, and it made it. I didn't have faith in the CD player, really, until I developed faith in it working. Because you can't see the CD. Is that going to work in that machine?
I would say you are perhaps the most Zen person that I have personally met in my entire life. Does that resonate?
Well, thank you, first. And somewhat, I'm, on the mellower side. I do enjoy meditation every day, which helps relieve stress. But I am pretty even-keeled. But as I said, the overriding factor has been the music, which has kept me here.
What's something about you that the audience may not know, unrelated to music and your programming?
I have always played baseball every summer through the years. I love baseball, and you have to stay in shape for that, so I try to stay in shape. Of course, I'm a movie aficionado. The history of cinema is always interesting to me. Best films through the decades, up to current films, I'm always interested in. And I do like to paint, abstract paintings, of course. That's very enjoyable and a nice outlet. I've studied the history of art, so that helps.
What's the connection between music and your abstract paintings?
That's really interesting because sometimes one of my shows gets awfully nebulous and otherworldly, as in abstract art, which kind of defines my abstract paintings.
Those paintings, I've seen them. They're pretty similar to that cosmic plateau you were referencing earlier.
Art, and it has a certain musical quality to it. Often before doing a show, I paint in my little studio back room with my kitty sitting there watching before I go do a show. There's a connection, of course.
I don't know if you want this to be a secret, but I am surprised that you are not mentioning your incredible ping pong skills, Arthur.
Ping pong is enjoyable and fun and intense and competitive through the years, as you know, and display your great qualities also.
Yes, that's why I'm bringing it up. I just wanted you to mention that we are both excellent ping pong players.
As I say, we're professionals.
Don't fact check this. Have you thought about what your last show will sound like or what tracks you may play?
It just depends on the show, and I'll find something appropriate. I'm not worried about, what do I play for the last show? Something will happen, will arise, and I'll just play it, and it'll be the last cut.
The cosmic plateau will speak to you.
Yes.
That was reporter Julie Lucetta speaking with our longtime music host, Arthur Balinger, who's planning to retire in 2025. You can hear all his shows on Boise State Public Radio Music. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho Voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.